Okay, let's have a look at the second mock exam for the pivot tables. And what you see on the screen is the first sheet of the help file of the mock exam. And in this sheet, we have so many lines of information and all the way onto the row 9995. So later on, we can check if we choose A1 whether the system will detect all these rows. If not, that means something is wrong in between. And let's have a look. In other sheets, we have returns, also quite a few lines, but not so much information. And we have another sheet called people. Those are just a very small table. So let's have a look at our first pivot table we need to create. The instruction says create a pivot table, create a report that displays the total profit by product category and subcategory. Name the sheet profit by category. Alright, so first let's create an empty one. Insert pivot table. We confirm that the pivot table is selecting until 9995 row, so that's okay, and we will create in a new worksheet. That's good. So here we have the new worksheet. Let's enlarge that a little bit, and what we need is profit, and that profit is here, and that profit contains values. And not only profit, but we also need to have category and subcategory. First, we need to have category. The category could be in the columns or in the rows, but as you see in the columns, it will just get very large, so it's easier to write them in the row, so we can scroll up and down. That's more natural than scrolling left to right. So here we have three main categories, and within that we should have subcategory. Remember, the order of these actually matters. So if you move the category below the subcategory, you will have a very different view. So in this case, the category should be above the subcategory. And you see here it's a little bit different than the screenshot. We can either fix that by showing the tabular form, or we can just leave it as it is. It doesn't matter so much. So we can just choose the tabular form, and now we have a very similar table, and that table is already very much like the result, just that we should have some red colors to cover the negative numbers, so that we can do in the field settings, number format, and in this case we are choosing a number, and we will handle the negative numbers as red, so not with the minus sign but only red, so then we have a total match of the screenshot. So here we go. This is the answer for the first question. The last thing we need to do is to put here the right name. The right name now is profit by category. Alright, so that is the first pivot table. Let's go back to the main page and now try to create the second pivot table. When we read the instruction of the second table, it says Superstore 1 wants to know the total sales per category of its different regions. Create a pivot table with this information on a new sheet and name it sales per category and region. And there we have a screenshot as well. So first, let's create an empty one, as always, and confirm the number of rows and new worksheet. Click OK. And enlarge this a little bit for us to be easy to see. And what we need is that we don't need any filter, so there's nothing between the starting part of the table and 2 lines above, so there's no filter. And when we look at the content of the table, we will find out the sum of cells should be in a value, and category should be in a column, and region in a row. So now, after practicing with the first mock exam, we should be very quick of identifying these different choices. So first, sum of cells. Is there a separate one called sum? No, then it should be cells in the value, and then the row should be region, then the column should be category. Alright, so if we compare with what we see on the syllabus, we have almost the same result, just that you need to fix these two by pressing F2. Then you can change the name from column labels to category, and from row labels to region. And you can also set the formatting of how the numbers should be shown. So on the syllabus, it shows a euro sign and shows a dot after each 1,000 and a comma below 0, and left 2 decimals. I hope for now you are familiar with that, but let me quickly show you how it's done one more time. So here we choose currency, leave 2 decimals, and negative ones. We don't have any negative ones, so we can just click OK. Oh, XDR. I have no idea what currency is that. It should be euro. So let's change the category. Let's change the currency here to euros. Okay. Yeah, we need to change it for everyone. So euro. Sometimes when you have a Excel downloaded from somewhere, probably the embedded formula already have a certain preference in currency, for example. Then we can just quickly fix that with some knowledge of basic Excel. That's here under the currency. We can change that. And you see the formatting of numbers also changed. Alright, this is the answer for the second pivot table of this mock exam. And before we go on, we change the name as instructed to be exactly the same as the recommendation. Cells per category and region. That's perfect. Alright, next let's move on to the third pivot table. That's about a new sheet. Create a pivot table that shows the profit and quantity sold per subcategory and per region. You see, now we are getting more and more variables, and name the sheet prof and quant per subcategory. So let's do that. Insert pivot table. Okay. And now we have a look at screenshots. We see there's no filter, and we see there are 2 values, sum of profit and sum of quantity, organized quite similarly as a question in the other mock exam. And we see we need to use subcategory as a column name, and as a row name, and the region as a column name. So let's first organize the table. So the region goes to columns, and then subcategory goes to rows, and the value we have profit and quantity. So quantity first, and then profit. The order is actually the other way around, so we change that. And as I mentioned in the other video, the value it appears to be in the row. on the screenshot. So let's change those values to the row, and we can either fix that or accept this is the formatting, but to be exact, let's just go to design and use the tabular form. So here we go, we have a quite organized view already, and those numbers seem to be matching. It's just that some of them need to be marked as currency. So let's first change that. So that one should be marked as a currency. The decimal could be 2, and if it's negative, should be red, and click OK. Yeah, we have the same problem here again, is that the currency appears to be XDR, and we should change that to euros. So symbol, let's change that to euros. Dutch. Okay, you can either choose or choose Dutch euro or any euro. It doesn't matter, I assume. So click OK. Alright. So we have quite organized table, which is much similar to the screenshot on the mock exam. Yeah, it's conformed. It's exactly the same. This is the answer to the third pivot table. Let's change the name to the required name called prof and quant per subcategory. Okay, let's move on to the final table, which is sales per state. So first, it seems like we never used the other two tables, so yeah, which is fine, but probably it's more realistic to include the whole picture. So A1, again, let's insert another table in a new sheet, and now the requirement is that the Superstore one needs to know its sales per segment. The information should be organized per state and shown as a percentage of the total sales per segment. Sort the result from the highest percentage to the lowest and filter by segment. Name the worksheet sales per state percentage. We can name it first. Sales per state percentage. Okay, then let's have a look at the real table. In this table, we actually observed the filter. Yeah, it's how we observed, as mentioned before, is that there's an empty line, empty row between the filter and the table. So we know there is a filter, and that filter is segment. So we put the segment part in the filter, and then we need the sum of sales, so that's sales as values, and then state in the rows. State in the rows. Alright, so we have a similar table now, but we just need to show them as percentage instead of numbers. We want to know in terms of percentage which state is performing the best. As you may see now, the table is organized by the first letter, by alphabet orders, and later when we know who has the largest percentage, then we can arrange the table differently. So first, let's define this value as a percentage. So let's show the values as the percentage of grand total or column total. I assume those are the same thing, because in total we only have one column. So let's choose column total and click OK. And let's check whether this figure is matching. 19.92 for California and let's choose another one. Kentucky 1.59. 1.59 for Kentucky. Yes, so the numbers seems to be working, and now we need to sort them from highest to lowest. So here we can choose A to Z or Z to A, but those are about names, so we can choose more sorting options, and we choose descending probably because it's from the highest to lowest, and that's in terms of sum of cells. Click OK. Yes, and here we have exactly how the screenshot on the syllabus shows. This is everything for the second mock exam for pivot table part. Hopefully you can follow me all this long and master all the basics and explore different functions in the analyze, design, and also these different sections. But the rest assured, it will be very useful for your internship and probably for your future career. But just to remind you, in our assignment, we will not ask you to go that far. So make sure you know the basics, how to create one, how to drag and drop certain information, and that should be enough to cover for the requirement of this course. Alright, good luck. I will see you in the upcoming videos.